to the 65th meeting of the 12th Council of Valley-Goose Bay. I call for the adoption of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Dyson Evans. Do I have a seconder?
Second by Councillor Cran.
Second by Councillor Cran. Any discussion? Those in favor? Councillor Dyson Evans, yes. Councillor Compton Hobbs, yes. Councillor Cran? Yes.
Yes.
Councillor Bakey? Looks like we lost Councillor Bakey. Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Second item on the agenda, delegations. We have 2 delegations, Town Manager. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Our town clerk is out on vacation. We have to appoint a town clerk for today's meeting. Councillor Dyson Evans. Yeah.
I move to.
We're just about to appoint the town clerk. So Councillor Dyson Evans will read the motion to appoint the town manager as acting town clerk for today.
I hereby.
Point of order, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Point of order. Councillor Bakey is part of the meeting, and every person has to vote. So I think you need to get her vote on the agenda.
Okay. Councillor Bakey, support the adoption of the agenda?
motion made yet.
Yes, I do.
I think we're supposed to do this motion first, wasn't it? So go ahead. I'd like to motion to appoint Robert Andrews as town clerk for today's meeting.
I'll second that. I'll second that motion.
Councillor Dyson Evans.
I motion to appoint Robert Andrews as town clerk for the meeting today.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's in order. Do we have any discussion on that? No discussion? Those in favor, Councillor Compton Hobbs? Yes. Councillor Dyson Edmonds?
Yes.
Councillor Bakey?
Yes.
Councillor Cran?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Adoption, or delegations. We have 2 delegations, Town Manager? Okay.
Would you like me to read the policy?
He's going to connect them first, Councillor.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay, welcome, Ms. Heffler-Elson. The floor is yours. First of all, Councillor Bakey will read out the policy regarding delegations.
Pardon me?
Councillor Bakey will read out the policy regarding delegations. Okay.
So go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
In accordance to creating a friendly and approachable environment for delegates to meet with the council, it is recommended that the public of Valley-Goose Bay, 1, notify the town manager or his descendant of their intention at least 30 minutes before the meeting, providing their name, contact information, and make it known of the issue that they wish to convey so that the town manager may present it to the attention of the mayor and council members before the council meeting begins. The mayor and council has the right to limit and discreet the number of delegates' presentation before each council meeting. 2, At the time of the notification, the delegate is given 10 minutes maximum to discuss their concerns or issues. After the presentation, the mayor and council members may ask questions or make comments on the information presented. 3, in consideration for the length of the council meeting, delegates may wish to bring forth their issues, concerns, in a written request that includes the subject of the presentation, name, and contact information for either the mayor, council member, or town manager to respond by letter. The 12th Council encourages the public to meet with the mayor and council member to bring their concerns and issues, while at the same time we ask that you be respectful when presenting your issues or concerns in a friendly tone and environment to converse on any of the town's topic of discussion or concerns.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Ms. Hepler-Elson, you can go right ahead.
First, I wasn't able to hear her very well, but I have presented to the council previously. So what I would like, if someone could email me what she just read out, so that I can know what she said. I don't.
Yeah, we can have a copy of that email to you, Ms. Hepler-Elson.
Jenny.
Okay, thanks.
Other thing is, who is in the room?
Okay, we have Councillor Dyson Edmonds, Councillor Compton Hobbs, Deputy Mayor Pomeroy, and on the phone we have Councillor Bakey, Cran, and the Mayor. And we are youth councillors here as well as staff. Tara Ryan.
Thank you. Okay, the reason why I asked to have a delegation today is because I received a letter on August the 4th from the Finance Committee Chair, Michelle Bakey, telling us that Friendship Center was not eligible for an exemption for the business tax for 2020 in the amount of $6,052.17. And I wrote a letter in response back to the council, to Michelle, or Councillor Bakey, and I CC'd all the councillors, as well as town manager, finance manager, and the mayor. And I haven't gotten a response back yet to determine whether you will be looking at this or not again. Because the reason for you saying that we weren't eligible is because we were servicing people just a membership alone, and that being based on that decision is wrong. Our organization does not just service members. We service everybody in the community that is interested in having services delivered from the Labrador Friendship Center. Our mandate is Inuit, Innu, and Métis of Labrador, and we provide the implementation and provision of social, cultural, health, educational, employment, and development initiatives. So we provide these services to all residents of our town. We are status blind. We don't ask anybody when they come in, can I see your card? Do you have a number or anything like that? We provide the service. There is only one program that we ask for, that you have to be an Indigenous person, and that is the Aboriginal Family Head Start program. The other programs we service everybody. So the programs that are listed there that we service are the assisted living program, which is a level 1, level 2 care program for residents in all our community. The community food bank services everybody in the community that is in need. The seniors van, the women's friendship circle, the men's friendship circle, Healthy Baby Club, SHIELD, which stands for Sexual Health Information Exchange Labrador District, the youth program. National Indigenous Peoples Day, everybody is invited to that. Seniors Aquafit, Children's Christmas Party, Back to School Backpack Program, Seniors Wellness Lunches, Seniors COVID Response, Seniors Committee, Seniors Dances, Seniors Christmas Party, Volunteer Income Tax Return Preparations, Independent Supportive Living Program for low-income apartment units we have, Community Youth Network, Orientation to Indigenous Peoples Program for newcomers, Correctional Services Canada to residential services, the Gary Brookville Hospital, which is for medical appointments, and the Friendship Diner, which serves people in our community if they wish to come in there. Our cash position was a positive cash position at the end of March of 2019. However, we did experience a deficit in 2019 and 18 of 108,236 in 2018 and 66,782 in 2019. We employ 55 people in our community on an annual basis, and these people are contributing to the economy in our community. I think it's important for you people to realize that we are a big organization. We're a nonprofit charitable organization, and we've been in operation since 1974. For 46 years, we've been playing a part in this community. Even if we were an Indigenous organization that only serviced Indigenous people, the majority, the demographics in our community, the majority of people are Indigenous or of Indigenous ancestry. So I would like to know if your council will reconsider your decision and provide us with a exemption for the business tax, as you did previously before we didn't pay business tax until this year.
Okay, Jenny, we don't engage in debate during delegations, and so the letter has been sent to Councillor Bakey, and I guess it's filed, and the only thing I could say is that the letter will come up again, I guess, at our next finance meeting, and we'll have a discussion then. There will be a response that will be provided once we have our meeting, next finance meeting. I'm not sure of the date of that offhand, but it's probably the second week of September.
Okay, and there's another item that I'd like to bring forward as well, is that one of your council members, who is Councillor Dyson Edmonds, is an employee of the Labrador Friendship Centre, and I would like to have a reassurance that anything that is being discussed concerning the Labrador Friendship Centre, whether it be good or bad, that she have to declare a conflict of interest.
Yeah, again, we're not going to get into a debate. However, in terms of conflict of interest, the Municipalities Act is quite clear in terms of how a councillor can or will be in a conflict of interest. So we'll definitely take those things into consideration.
Yes, part of the Act, and I believe that it's fully in conflict if she's involved in any decisions concerning the Labrador Friendship Centre. So I would request that she have to declare a conflict. And I'd like to know about that decision as well, so I'm requesting that through this delegation, that I know that there will be a decision made whether she declares a conflict or not.
Yeah, just to add there, Jenny, a conflict will be declared when it comes to a time for any vote. A councillor will have to declare that themselves.
But isn't there not a responsibility to the Municipalities Act that you have to?
It is up to the individual councillor to declare whether he or she is in a conflict, and then council will decide at that point if that's the case. So at this point, there's no decisions being made here, there's no votes, and until time, I guess there's a vote, Councillor Dyson Evans will have to determine whether she feels she's in a conflict or not.
And is there a way to ensure that if how the Friendship Centre feels about that?
Jenny, just to add, any councillor in the past, with anybody that's involved with anything like that, like you said, is in this Valley Act, they must declare a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they must.
Yeah.
Okay?
So I'll wait to hear back from you about the possible exemption of our business tax after I brought the information forward concerning that we do not just service a membership to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Christine. Hi, Sway. Then here, we're going to connect you with the council meeting. Okay, I'm just going to put you on speaker one moment.
Hello, Ms. Tremlett. Oh, hi, Deputy Mayor Pomeroy here. With me is Councillor Dyson Edmonds and Councillor Compton Hobbs in the chambers. On the phone, we have Mayor Anderson, Councillors Bakey and Cran, and Councillor Tara Ryan, our youth councillor, is here as well, and we have our support staff. Councillor Bakey will read out the policy regarding delegations, if you just bear with us for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can everybody hear me?
We can, but Christina,
Hello?
we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. In accordance with creating a friendly, approachable environment for delegates to meet with the council, it's recommended that the public of Valley-Goose Bay, 1, notify the town manager or his designate of their intention at least 30 minutes before the meeting, providing their name and contact information. Make it known of the issues they wish to convey so the town manager may present it to the attention of the mayor and council member before the council meeting begins. The mayor and council has the right to limit discreet the number of delegates presentation before each council meeting. 2, at the time of the notification, delegates given 10 minutes maximum to discuss their concerns or issues. After the presentation, the mayor and council members may ask questions or make comments on the information presented. 3, in consideration for the length of council meeting, delegates may wish to bring forth their issues, concerns, in a written request that includes the subject of the presentation, name, and contact information for either the mayor, council member, or town manager to respond by letter. 12th, council encourages the public to meet with mayor and council members to bring their concerns or issues, while at the same time we ask that you be respectful when presenting your issues or concerns in a friendly tone and environment to converse on any of the town's topics of discussion or concerns.
Thank you, Councillor Bakey. Ms. Tremlett, the floor is yours.
If I was supposed to hear that, I certainly didn't hear a thing she said. So, did I have to hear that? Or?
It's a policy regarding delegations. Basically, can you hear me? Yeah. Basically, in a nutshell, it basically states that you have 10 minutes to do your presentation, and if you feel that you need more time, you can submit something in writing. And that the nature of the topic, asks that you be respectful, and council does not engage in debate. However, we will listen to your concerns and follow through on those.
So, am I good to go?
Yep, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah. So, what I'm calling, my concerns and calling about, once again, I'd like to say hi to everybody. And unfortunately, I had to take this route to speak out in public because it's just so frustrating when you're steady having to ask for replies and answers back when you're putting in concerns. Every time I email somebody, I thought management got back to you, or it's just frustrating at the end of the day when I'm reaching out with serious concerns to the upper management and then not getting no results back from upper manager, and then I reach out to councillors, and it's always the same 2 replies. Normally, it's Laurie Dyson, Jackie Captain Hobbs, and Wally Anderson, and all 3 of them are usually saying the same thing. I thought that this was dealt with by management. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get at is, as you councillors know that this is not being dealt with appropriately, so I think it's time for you as councillors to step forward and call a meeting with manager and ask, why isn't these concerns being addressed and answers back to whoever's putting the concerns in? Because it's not only me that have a lot of concerns gone in there and it's not answered, and it's just it's unacceptable When I have to reach out to the Director of Municipal Affairs to actually get my answers answered, that is not acceptable. I think it is sad. And that's my big, that is my concerns, is what I'm putting here across here today. And I just feel it's time for the public to know, once again, Jackie Compton-Hobbs and Lori Dyson, they're the only two that respond to every email that I had, and unfortunately, there are only two people. They cannot do it on their own. And as it goes with the mayor, Mayor Anderson says to me in his emails, I thought Robert and HR. Okay, well, Mayor Anderson is aware that Robert, the town manager, and HR is not complying to, and sending these concerns out. So once again, I'm going to reach out and ask the council to please try to get my concerns addressed, and I'd appreciate to have an answer back. And as for Deputy Mayor Bird, I mean, I reached out to you, and I mean, you don't even acknowledge. And I mean, the only time you did acknowledge is you said going to set up a meeting with me, and I mean, never even had the decency to return my email and say, oh, well, I can't make it. And I put my afternoon off to meet with you. So, like, it's pretty sad.
Please try to get my concerns.
And that's what I got to say. So that's my...
Just order for a second, please. We can't hear anything. Order for 1 second, please. We can't hear anything.
It's not order, it's not order. It's just repeating what she's saying. It's repeating it.
I'm hearing it twice, am I?
Yeah, you're hearing it twice.
Oh, okay.
Just hold on 1 second, Chris. We're trying to fix the microphone here. So it's playing on that.
Christine, can you hear us?
Hello?
Okay, did you want to continue?
Yes,
Okay, so that's what I'm asking now. Once again, I'm just asking, as a resident, if the council could please not ignore my concerns and obviously sit down with whoever's upper management and see if they can forward my concerns and where they are with them concerns, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, I call for the adoption of the previous minutes, the 63rd minutes of July 28, 2020. Do I have a mover? So moved by Councillor Dyson Edmonds, seconder. Second by Councillor Compton-Hobbs. Any discussion? All in favor? Councillor Cran? Mayor Anderson? I'm in favor as well. And motion carried unanimous. 64th minutes, August 10th, 2020. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Compton-Hobbs, seconder. Seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. All in favor? Councillor Cran? Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, I vote in favor as well. Motion carried. Next item, correspondence. Any correspondence? Any questions on correspondence?
I got a question, I'm not sure when Jenny Heffler from the Friendship Center's correspondence came in, but it's not there for August, I don't know.
There was a copy in my mailbox right here.
Yeah, what was the date it came in?
Dated August 4th, so I'm not sure how long it is.
So August the 4th? And my other question is, Kathy, I don't know if you can answer this or not. We received correspondence from Dave Brenton. Don't know where that's to. It needs to be addressed. It needs to go on to someone's committee, finance, I'm assuming.
Dave Brenton, Dave Morris.
Morris or Breton? Breton, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so it was never discussed at a committee level, so can we get that added to the agenda for either development or finance? I'm not sure which one. Yeah, but I think he resubmitted after, if it was discussed in finance, he resubmitted after that. Yeah. But just, I want it on record that we do have it, and it will be discussed at one of the meetings, either development planning or finance. He submitted a letter to all the council. And if it wasn't, he may have sent a letter and then an email to all of us?
Yeah, I got, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the date on it.
July 30th.
July 30th. So I did respond to him and tell him that I would forward it on. I assumed everybody got it, so if we can make sure that goes onto one of the agendas for the committees.
Thank you, Councillor.
Well, the mayor did respond to Dave Brenton's letter, saying that he would deal with the letter, but it obviously hasn't been dealt with. We have nothing on it.
That sort of letter should go to, that form of letter should go to some committee.
Yeah, I'm thinking finance or development. Finance, I'm thinking. So as long as we note that it's going to finance, meeting next month.
Okay. On the correspondence, we move into committee reports.
Can we make sure that do, because Council Dawson is right, and obviously, like, I'm not sure that about it or should about it, but can we make sure that that letter will go to, regardless of what the outcome is, can it go to a certain committee for discussion?
Yeah, we can make sure it goes to the appropriate committee for the next meeting.
Maybe you should know that Michelle has finance chair that will go to your committee. Maybe you should note that that letter be added to your next finance committee from Dave Brenton.
Well, Michelle.
The letter?
Councillor
What letter?
Bakey,
Christine's letter?
we received a letter from David Brenton, and you replied to it as well, Councillor Bakey, saying that you will review his letter.
I'm having a hard time hearing what you're asking.
We had a letter from a resident, Dave Brenton. It was sent to all of council. You replied to his letter saying that you would review it.
Well, what letter, no idea what letter you're talking about. Which letter are you talking about?
It was a letter from Dave Brenton on 27 Morris Crescent.
27 of what?
Councillor Bakey, can you hear me? Okay, it's a letter from Mr. David Brenton, who lives on Morris Crescent, concerning the area in front of his house not being paved and the condition of the road. Okay, so it hasn't been dealt with at a committee level yet, to my knowledge.
I have to discuss that with the clerk and town manager with that one.
Okay, we're just asking that it be discussed at the next finance committee meeting.
Well, I'll bring it back on the agenda again, yes.
Thank you. All right, let's move into committees, recommendations. First one, municipal services. Councillor Cran.
Right, so guys, we never had a meeting for August month. But I did speak to Frank, and regular duties are ongoing. The street sweeping is still ongoing. Brush cleaning is ongoing. Or brush clearing, I'm sorry, ongoing. To date, tipping fees are roughly $200,000 to date, which leaves us $200,000 down from the same time last year. Do we have, is engineer Randy Dillon on the phone?
is, Councillor?
I don't know if Mr. Dillon will want to do a quick review of what's under engineering.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. I'm just looking here now for the summary. The Wellness Centre is ongoing. The schedule is probably about 1 month behind. Actually, I should call it the Central Labrador YMCA rather than the Wellness Centre. Schedule is about 1 month behind from what was initially envisaged back a few months ago before the COVID pandemic. We're expecting completion, substantial completion at the end of November. September 15th to the 22nd, we're expecting the pavement, the asphalt to be laid. Fire pump for the facility was delivered today. The landscaping and playground is just starting to take form. Most of the interior finishing is progressing. Most of the drywall is done, and the tile installation is in progress. Lift station upgrades are ongoing. We have a deadline of September 30th for the CWWF projects, and we expect to have these lift stations upgraded before then. The EJ Broomfield Safety Renovations project has also started. The demolition has been completed, and the interior construction is ongoing. So no issues along those lines for that project. Kellen Drive reconstruction and Kellen Drive extension and multi-year capital works roads program, as well as some storm drainage upgrades were tendered. It closed past Thursday. We received a recommendation from our consultant, CBCL Limited, today. The tenders were roughly around 5.7 for Johnson Construction, 8.9 for Markley Construction, and 9.1 for Dexter. There are some issues that we have to address funding-wise, because there were 4 separate projects that were included in the tender, and some projects were came in higher above the available funding, and one project came in lower than the available funding. So it's something that we have to look at as a council and determine the next course of action as to how we proceed. The RV park design, I've been assured by Track Consulting that the design and tender package will be received by September 4th. Avl Implementation, we have 9 vehicles installed with the Avl hardware, and we're expecting to have that up and running for those vehicles within the next couple of days. The intent was to have the supplier install and make operational the hardware, but because of COVID and the fact that the installers from Ontario made that impractical for him to come to the town and self-isolate for 2 weeks. All the expenses will be at town cost, as well as the town had a policy of trying to dissuade outside contractors from visiting during the height of the pandemic. We also have a contract for aerial imagery and 5-wake oblique imagery. All the flights have been completed by the contractor, and within 30 days we expect to have our standard imagery as well as the enhanced imagery sometime probably within a month or so after that. We have our, there was a tender for a pickup and a high roof service van. The pickup's been received, and the high roof service van is, contract has been delivered or has been awarded, and we're waiting on delivery of that particular vehicle. So that's it for most of the projects. There are a couple of recommendations in today for award of a couple of projects. One is for the installation of the Husky backstop fencing, as well as for the supply of a gazebo for Kinsman Park. And that's the status of the engineering items, if anyone has any questions.
Thanks, Town Manager.
Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome,
It
Councillor.
also mentioned that I haven't been talking to our fire chiefs, but I do know they responded to a brush fire between Killen Drive and the walking trail next to Minnesota, which was brought under control rather quickly. I'd just like to say a shout out to our volunteer firefighters that were there in North Flat. That's great that we got a dedicated set of volunteers that are able to jump and run when we need them. So on that note, I'll ask that my report be accepted as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, so moved, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Any discussion?
I got questions.
Councillor Compton Hobbs.
I just got a couple questions. First of all, you mentioned the fire. Well, the fire that was on Johnny Hill. Now we have met once since then, but and the person that contacted me wanted to throw a bouquet to the fire chief and his crew and all the volunteer firefighters that they done a wonderful job to get that fire under control. And we all know that. But they asked that the next time there's a fire that maybe the town could send out a PSA immediately to control the traffic, that there was some major concerns, and I think Chief Butler probably knows this, around the traffic that gathered in that area, and there was concerns that probably a pedestrian or somebody could have got knocked down. So I just want to throw that out there that I was contacted, and they asked that I pass along that perhaps if there's another fire to that nature that we get a PSA out immediately, which I think is a good idea for the safety of everybody. I also wanted to ask about the AVLs. You said there was 9 that had the equipment set up on now. How many? Can you tell me how many there's left to get done?
Yes, Councillor, there's one for every vehicle in the town fleet. So I think there's something like 50 odd, somewhere around there.
So, do we have a time frame of when all of the vehicles are going to be done? It's not something that I think that could wait, much longer. We waited since January, I believe.
Well, the issue was, like I mentioned earlier, that the contractor couldn't come to the town because of COVID and do the installation. So it was suggested, and it was agreed to by the town, that we would have our own mechanic do the installation. But since then, one of our other mechanics, when you have 2 mechanics, was off on sick leave for a period of time. And so it was suggested that maybe our mechanic could work overtime and do some of these installations. But, we can't force our mechanics, we can't force any of our employees to work overtime. So he did do some installations on overtime. He is considering doing some other installations on overtime. But we also now have 3 loaders down, so our other work commitments precludes doing these installations. So we are going to have a further negotiation or further discussion with Geotab, which is Descartes, which is the supplier of this equipment, to see if they can come in and see if they can be designated an essential contractor to come in and actually do them all at the one time and clue it all up.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea because it's something we've been waiting for now for the past couple of years. So I'll look forward for an update on that. The other thing is I saw the brush was cut in behind the town hall, which I'll I thank the staff for that, for doing that. It looks great out there, and I think it has eliminated some of the transient population. And also, I've seen the sweeper out around, so the sweeper's doing a great job. That was a good investment, in my opinion. And hats off to Frank's department for that. Track consultant, you mentioned the RV park design. Can we hold our feet to the fire? Because we have been hearing a long time that they're going to have that finalized this date, that date, this date. September the 4th, can we hold them to that?
I agree, Councillor. You know, I've reiterated to them that we want this as soon as possible. We're waiting. We're planning on having meetings and discussions with the COA on funding issues to get that park started. And I've been advised that their date is September 4th. So that's next Friday.
Okay, and another thing, I brought this forward a couple times now, but crosswalks at Skipper Joe's Uptown and Lab Inn. We've talked about this several times over the past few years. It is a cross issue with the provincial highways, and I know there was a meeting a couple of weeks ago, but I mean, it's not something that we can put off for another year. I think it's something that we need to move forward, and I'm not sure who's responsible financially. It's a provincial highway, and I know, like I said, I know there was a meeting. I don't know where the update's going to be discussed in municipal services, I'm assuming. I don't know. Councillor Cran, were you involved in that meeting, or did you know about the meeting that happened with MHU Trimper and Provincial Highways and whoever else was at the meeting?
No, I wasn't privy to that, no.
Okay, so perhaps at your next meeting you can get an update. This is a serious issue that we need to move forward. It's been coming at this council table for the last few years. Crosswalks at Uptown Skipper Joe's and the Lab Inn lights. I know there was another pedestrian who was hit there a couple of nights ago up in that area. Whether it was lighting or whatever, crosswalks, I don't know, but it's something we need to move forward on. And the other thing oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I will look into that as soon as I get back.
Sean, I don't think anyone from the council was involved. That you received an email from Allison and Andrea, and so I called Perry, and he told me that there's another meeting. So I told him that at the next meeting, even though it's regarding the provincial road, Hamilton Road, that to notify the town, so we would have a representative there as well. And he told me that they would. And they're looking at sometime mid-September. But as far as I know, that council was unaware that the meeting took place. I know that I never received any correspondence from them. And also too, Randy, on that installation of the equipment, I know that the contractor did not want to come in because of COVID-19, but is there, to speed up the process a little more now, is there anyone in town that we might be able to contact to get that piece of equipment installed?
We can have a further discussion with the contractor, Mayor, but it's quite possible there may be somebody who is capable of doing that. You know, somebody with good mechanic skills. I know we do have a couple of good mechanics here with the town who are capable of doing this work, and I'll discuss with our mechanic and with our superintendent over the next couple of days and to see if we can optimize this installation. I'd also like to add too about you mentioned the lighting on Hamilton River Road and the possibility that may have contributed to an accident. In our budget last year, we did include upgrading the lighting all the way down Hamilton River Road from 100 watt to 400 watt lights. And when I check with Hydro again to see the status of the installations, and they advise that because of COVID, they're not doing any more installations, so I don't really understand. I guess what I'll do, I'll have a further discussion with Hydro as to why these installations can't proceed, at this time.
And Randy, while you're at it, could you also, can you hear me? Yeah, could you also check on, I know there was a credit that was provided to the town from Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro for being overcharged in the past for these lights. Can you ensure that we get an updated audit to find out, make sure that we're not getting overcharged still?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll do that.
I just had one question, one more thing to finish off what I was gonna ask. I brought this forward to a few times, the signs, street names on stop signs. There's many streets without signs. And also there was some brush. And my understanding is, they're working on it. I'm not sure if there's a timeline for the brush cutting, but, there's still quite a few areas out there that needs to be cleared. And I know in some intersections, some homeowners said they didn't want too much cleared because of sand, but there's quite a few out there that's still a safety concern if you drive around. So I don't know, Councillor Crane, if you don't know any more information on that or not.
No, I spoke to Frank earlier today, and he told me that the brush clearing right now is ongoing. But now that you mentioned it, I did notice it's a job to see the stop sign there at the lights down on 10th Street. If you're coming towards the valley, passing the Ultramar, coming towards the liquor store, there's like alders right out in the path of the stop sign, and you can't see it until you're on top of it. So I'll be bringing that to Frank's attention probably tomorrow.
Yeah, they might want to do.
Sean mentioned to him that, especially where back to school is and like the buses are going to be going and to make sure that it's very important that we make sure that all the intersections that the town is responsible are cleared.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
They might want to have some staff drive around and monitor and review and jot down the areas that are of concern. I noticed several streets. One that really sticks out is Michelin. Coming off that street, trying to see around the corner, it's very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Dyson Evans, I believe you got a comment?
Yeah, I got a couple things looking for clarification on. One was the van, you said the van was being delivered when, Randy?
Yes, Councillor. There was a 4-month delivery on the van because of the COVID shutdown with the auto industry. That there were no vans in stock, so they had to to get back up to speed with their manufacturing. So that's why that is going to take a few months for that van. I know with the pickup that we advertised at the same time, they were in stock, so we got that fairly quick. But with the van, that because of the pandemic and the shutdown of the auto industry, because they were making ventilators and so on, that is a 4-month delivery on that at least.
What's the anticipated date that we're going to get that?
I would expect it was 4 months from award, and that was probably another month or 2 months. I'll check on the status and see how fast now we can get that.
Town manager, you got something to add?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, not in regards to the high roof van, but just, I guess, to go back to the intersection brush cutting. I have noted today that the intersections of Michelin and Churchill would have been cleared either yesterday or today, but there has been some improvement there. So I don't know the exact order of the work plan, but there is attention being given to intersections.
Thank you. Councillor Dyson Evans?
With regards to the brush cutting and the willow situation, we had a discussion last month about the willows, trying to get something done with the area up by 19 Justin, and that still hasn't been done. the urgency of that, because it's an area where there are a lot of seniors, and that's been brought forward, and it was my understanding that that was supposed to be a priority, but obviously it wasn't. But there's been also a lot of talk about the dump road and the willows being cut back there, and I don't know if there's a schedule of when that's actually going to happen. There's been a couple of brush fires. I know Constable Baker actually tended to a couple in the trails as well. And I had a few messages about that, about him, being pretty quick to respond. So I'd like to thank Constable Baker on that. With regards to the Trappers Marathon, I'm sure there's going to be a request come through Councillor Compton Hobbs' department for, I guess, traffic control and stuff, if that's going ahead. But one of the big things that I've been getting some feedback on is the area on the Northwest River Road. And I know that's highways, but as bad as it is now, in another couple of months, it's going to be even worse. So if we could keep get an update on that for the next meeting, that would be good. Yeah, I think that was it. And then the AVLs that are installed in the vehicles now, they're up and running. They're online, right?
They won't be online for another couple of days, so there's some training required. The installation's been completed, so it's a matter of I will be getting together with our mechanic and with our superintendent and going through some bit of training with the supplier over the next sometime this week.
The only other thing with regards to municipal services as well is we have an ongoing list of potential street names. Is there a way we could get that list for our next?
It's not available anymore.
Oh, I couldn't find it. Okay, and if there is a process, if there's an actual process for individuals coming forward for a reason for that, that's not online, is it?
You gotta submit a
They
letter.
have to submit a letter, and it's based on date of receipt, basically.
Okay.
Sorry.
I got a couple other questions with municipal services. The brush cutting, I believe we were told, Mr. Dillon, that it was going to be contracted out on the landfill road, that all the brush was going to be cut back in that area?
Yeah, that's right, Councillor. I was talking to the superintendent, and the intent is to hire an excavator and get some brush cutting equipment and do that the whole length of the dump road. It's not efficient to do it through manual labor, so it's a lot more efficient and cost effective if we do that mechanically.
Do we have a start date by any chance?
It will be done sometime this fall. So, the intent is to get it done sooner rather than later. I know the superintendent has to check his budget, and his plan is to do it out of his operations budget.
Councillor Cran, can you put that one on your agenda for an update too, for the next meeting?
I can, yes.
Okay. And I got another item here I meant to bring forward there. I was contacted by a resident on the Trans-Labrador Highway, the 10-12 kilometer mark, which is in the town limits. And they're requesting, they're concerned about the safety up there with the speed. Right now it's 80 kilometers, and they'd like to reduce it to 50 kilometers. That is in town limits. Is that something the town would do, or is that provincial, or? Yeah, so maybe, Sean, that's something else you can add to your agenda when you meet with, when you meet with the highways. There's quite a few families at the 10-12 kilometer mark who have children in that area, and
Right.
they're concerned for the safety, because we all know there's a lot of speeders up that way that are heading to Lab City, or cabins or whatever, right?
Right on.
And now there's quite a few people up there with housing who live there with small children. So if you can add that to the agenda, and Kathy, can we put it as some type of action item so that it's recorded here and we do follow through with it? Thanks.
Okay, so any more discussion? If not, we'll call, do you have recommendations?
1 minute. I just got one more comment to make. The speed bump has been installed on the corner of Spruce and Woodland. Myself and Councillor Compton-Hobbs had a discussion. I met with the engineer Randy Dillon. We visited the site, and the speed bump and signs have now been installed.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
No further discussion, we'll call for a vote on the, accepting the report. We have a second there, Councillor Laurie Dyson Edmonds. All in favor? Aye. Councillor? Okay. I'm in favor as well. The vote is unanimous. Motion carried. Do you have recommendations, Councillor Cran?
No, I don't have any recommendations this evening.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Community Services and Recreation. Councillor Compton-Hobbs.
So again, Community Service and Recreation never met the month of August due to, annual leave and council staff, whatever. But I do have a report from the Community Service and Recreation Director, Dominic Demers. The Labrador Wellness Center is coming along, as Randy Dillon noted earlier, that it's about a month or so behind schedule, but it's coming along. And I was actually in there for a tour myself there a few weeks back, and it looks really good in there. And I'll tell you, the swimming club is going to be quite pleased with that great big swimming pool that's being built in there. Former Premier Ball and MP Von Jones, Minister Dempster, and MHA Trimper also had a tour of the Wellness Center on July the 30th. They were quite happy with the progress. The great news with the Central Labrador YMCA tonight is that we received a $100,000 donation from Nunatsiavut for the Labrador Wellness Center sponsorship of dedicated spaces. So that's great news for the capital campaign. Arena, the renovations have started. Expected to put the ice down and start the season on September 28th. The curling club, they're doing some repairs. Staff are doing repairs at the exterior wall of the ice plant. Summer Rec, it started on July the 6th. They accepted up to 26 participants. The program ended on August the 18th. Staff finished last week, August the 21st. This year, the staff were 100% funded, so that was good news. Kinsman Park, I'm going to be bringing forward a recommendation for a gazebo at the Kinsman Park. Playgrounds are still up and running. Staff are cleaning the playgrounds twice daily. Grass cutting is a big portion of community service and recreation this summer. They got 2 or 3 staff dedicated to just the grass repair and grass cutting. Think maybe something we might have to look at next year if we're using that much manpower to keep up on. As we all know, there's a lot of grass out there, and it growed a lot this summer because of our weather. So that might be something we might have to look at for just assigning people to grass cutting, grass repair alone next year. Healthy Waters Labrador, we still need to sign the MOU. I've asked about the working group, and hopefully we'll get back on track in September to try to get that concluded. Nunatsiavut also contributed $35,000 to the Healthy Waters Labrador for Birch Island Picnic Shelter and Historical Storyboard Project. And this past Saturday, I had the honor of going out with the Special Olympics Howling Husky coaches. And due to COVID, we went to each athlete's door and delivered them with a year-end package, plaque, and a certificate on behalf of the town. So that was quite exciting. The athletes were quite pleased, and they all had a big smile on their face when we left with their goodie bags and their plaques and their certificates. They were quite happy with it. They're hoping to get their Special Olympics athletes back on track sometime in the fall, hopefully. In our last CSR meeting in July, we talked about Happy Valley and Seniors Day event that we host in September. As of now, it's probably not going to be an event at Kinsman Park, but it's something we talked about doing a virtual, some kind of virtual event with PR manager Waylon Williams and Dominic Demers and myself, trying to put something together to host some type of virtual event on that day. Our next meeting for CSR is September the 8th at 12 noon. I ask that you please accept my report.
So moved, second by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Any discussion? No discussion? You got a comment, Councillor Dyson?
Just one comment, just to let everybody know that I'm getting a lot of positive feedback about the basketball court in Spruce Park, and I've been up there several times every week, and there's probably more kids on the basketball court than there is on the playground. So that's a great investment for our town.
Okay, thank you. A call for a vote.
I just wanted to add to that too. I did too receive photos and been up around there, and one of the pictures I received had 22 children on the basketball court. So anybody who was in doubt about the funding for the basketball court at Spruce Park can put it to bed, because I tell you, it's being well used. It was a good investment. And also too, I've been receiving a lot of positive comments on the flowers and the bowls. So hats off to the CSR staff.
Okay, thank you. Call for a vote. All in favor? Okay, I'm in favor as well. Motion carried. So we have two recommendations, Councillor?
Okay, the first recommendation is the Husky Park backstop fencing. Just a little bit of background that the fencing, the backstop, the materials, the equipment is here on the ground. We had that budgeted for it. It is here. There is more money to this to put up this new backstop that hasn't probably been replaced since the field opened in 1969. So it's time that it be replaced. And but we do have to find the monies to install the backstop equipment. So this is the recommendation I'm bringing forward. The Community Service and Recreation Committee recommends council award a contract for the installation of Husky Park backstop fencing to Greens Construction Limited in the amount of $22,882.70, subject to adequate savings being realized from other operations.
Okay, the motion's in order, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Any discussion?
I'll just add in that I just said, like 1969, since we had a new backstop, it's becoming a bit of a safety concern over there, because there's wires and everything poked out. And if anybody you noticed, and I'm sure they have, because I've heard a lot of positive comments about the upgrades to Husky Park is really nice. So finishing it off with a new backstop will really put a touch to the Husky Park for sure.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Dyson Edmonds?
Yeah, I'd just like to add a bit to that as well. The Husky Park over there is looking amazing, and hopefully after we get through this pandemic, with the loss of all of the ball leagues this year, and nothing actually happening on the field, the buzz is that the leagues are all going to come back bigger and better next year, so it'll be great.
Other comments? You have two recommendations. We're going to vote on it. Sorry. All in favor? Aye. Okay, carried. Unanimous, carried. Okay, two recommendations, Councillor.
Okay, the next one is for supply of gazebo for the Community Service and Recreation Committee recommends council award a contract to ABC Recreation for the supply of the gazebo for Kinsman Park in the amount of $32,246.12.
Okay, the motion's in order. Councillor, just for the record, I don't know if you want to read that out again, because the mic didn't pick it up. Your mic wasn't on.
Okay, just a little bit of background is the second gazebo for Kinsman Park is a 20 by 20 gazebo in the amount of $108,477.68 is available from funding approved by ACOA. So we received three quotations, ABC Recreation, Tessar, Recreal Park, and Coastline Specialties. And so the CSR committee is recommending that a contract be awarded to ABC Recreation for the supply of the gazebo for Kinsman Park in the amount of $32,246.12.
Okay, the motion's in order, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Any discussion? No discussion. Call for a vote. All in favour? Aye. Okay, in favour as well. Motion carried. Okay, we move on to development planning. If I can ask Councillor Compton Hobbs, would you take the gavel while I read my report? Yes. I think you can just stay there. There's no. Thank you. The Development, Planning and Enforcement Committee met on August the 20th. President were myself as chair, Councillors Compton Hobbs and Dyson Edmonds, Town Engineer Randy Dillon, Municipal Tech Paul Zell, Municipal Enforcement Officer Larry Baker, Municipal Tech DJ Elliott, and Public Relations and Special Events Manager Waylon Williams, who took the minutes. Regrets from Town Manager Robert Andrews and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. The meeting was called to order at 4:37 p.m. We reviewed the previous minutes and action items, and there were no errors or omissions. Much of our discussion centered around Crown Land and discretionary use application. There are a number of recommendations that will come forward very shortly. There's one recommendation, however, that both Councillors Dyson Edmonds and Councillor Compton Hobbs didn't agree with, and it's in respect to the Crown Lands application from the town to acquire the necessary land to construct Kellen Drive extension. However, all decisions regarding applications and so on have to be made by council as a whole. Committees cannot make decisions on such matters. The decision rests with council, therefore council will have to decide on this particular matter. With respect to enforcement, the minutes were reviewed from the previous meeting and there were no errors or omissions. Municipal Enforcement Officer's report was provided for the committee's review. The Municipal Enforcement Officer provided the committee with further information regarding ticketing, noting that the spreadsheet has not been updated because of a backlog at the courts due to COVID-19. He also provided an update on nuisance buildings, cleanup orders, and demolition orders. Committee discussed ongoing issues concerning nuisance buildings, specifically with respect to one in particular that has been an issue for the past number of years. We're hoping to have a further update this week, and I'm not sure if the town manager can provide an update or anything new to report without disclosing any personal information, of course, regarding the property owner and or the occupant. Is there anything new you can add, Councillor, or sorry, Town Manager?
Just similar to an update provided a little earlier today, there is a potential to have the occupant at that property. They've indicated their intent to relocate, find other accommodations. There may be some assistance required there. I've been working off and on with the MHA over the last few days, and I'm looking to reconnect when he returns to Goose Bay.
Okay, thank you. Is that? No, I'm not finished yet. Yeah. There was also some discussion on the use of body cameras for the municipal enforcement officer and potentially the animal control officer. Since council approved a policy for the use of body cameras earlier this summer, the committee was wondering why they're still not being used. The town manager was not available at the meeting to provide an update. It was agreed that I, as committee chair, would follow up with the town manager. I did speak with him briefly on that, and I did ask that he provide an update here today in terms of where we are with respect to implementing that policy and putting it into effect.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The policy is in place as approved by council, and I believe that would have been around the June cycle. One of the subsequent requirements to that policy is there are practical requirements that are also necessary under the Access to Information and Privacy Protection Act. So we have been in communication with the
Point of order, point of order, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, yes, your worship?
It's very difficult, like, I'm only getting one of probably every 3 or 4 words that Robert is saying.
It might have to do with the mask. I'm wondering.
We're just gonna try to reconfigure things here, Mayor, so you can hear a little better. How's that?
Is this better? It's a little clearer to me too. If everybody's fine, I'll just park this for the moment. I think the mayor might be on receiver there now, or is everybody gone?
A short recess while we figure out our technical issues.
I'll get.
Welcome to Bell Conferencing Solutions. Please enter your conference ID followed by pound.
They might still be on.
Thank you. The moderator has not yet joined the conference. If you are the moderator, please press star now. Please enter your PIN followed by the pound. You will now be placed into the conference.
Hello?
Welcome back, Connor.
Is everyone else on the line? Councillor Crank, Councillor Bakey?
Yeah.
Yes, still here.
Okay, good. Okay, where would you, Mayor, you had a question?
Yeah, I could only pick up probably one of every 3 or 4 words that Robert was saying.
Okay, Town Manager, do you want to?
Is this a little clearer, folks?
Yes, it is, yeah. Much better.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so I'll go back and just begin again. On passing of the policy, which I believe to be June of this year, there was another component which required some practical, I guess some procedural requirements that are necessary under the Privacy Act, the Provincial Privacy Act, and they speak to utilization, retention, permanent storage, access, and so forth. And essentially what that relates to is something along the lines of an internal audit process. Those steps have been developed. They're essentially ready to be put into place. We just need now to enact them and make sure with the Privacy Office that they are fine. We believe them to be. We follow the guidance provided to us, so I would anticipate over the next few days we'll be looking at doing the internal walkthrough with ATIP, with their offices. Cameras are ready to go. With respect to the enforcement officer, he's been working with us while that process unfolds, so we should probably have an update by end of week.
Okay, thank you. There being no further business, meeting adjourned at 6:25 p.m. Next meeting of the committee is scheduled for September 17th at 4:45 p.m. With that, I move that my report be accepted as read.
Okay, any discussion on the Mr. Pomeroy's report? I got a couple questions. I'm just gonna, the street numbering policy. I know there was something sent on that today, but it's time that we put this to bed. If you all remember who was on council at the time, Mr. Jamie Felsberg came in to the chambers quite a while ago and presented the concerns around responders, fire department, ambulances, whatever, taxis, whatever. And I've been asking if anybody's been listening to me at all, at these meetings, I've been asking over and over and over and over and over. So my understanding, it's still on the lawyer's table. It's still looking for legal direction. So I'd like to see that dealt with sooner rather than later. I just can't wrap my head around why we keep coming back to every meeting asking for the street numbering policy. When it's there, we should put it in place. If there's any way we can put it in place, let's get it up and running. The other one is, and I think you kind of alluded to this, Mr. Pomeroy, with some dilapidated buildings. There's one in particular that we've been talking about for many, many years that is a safety concern. And I, as a councillor, do not want to be sitting at this table and something serious happen. And you all know which residents I'm referring to. And same thing, we're being told that talk to MHA Trimper, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. In my opinion, more action needs to be taken. I've received several complaints from the neighbors in that area. We're all concerned. I'm sure as a council, we all want this dealt with. We need it moved forward. So let's pull up our socks and get this dealt with. This is a serious matter, it's a safety concern, and it needs to be dealt with. It's not something that we can put on the back burner and every month keep hearing saying, I'm going to talk to MHE Trimper, I'm going to talk to this one, I'm going to talk to that one. It needs to be dealt with. Whichever way we have to move this forward, we need to do it. The transient population considers is still concerning. There's still lots of issues going on around that population in the community. I understand there's some discussions around the working group to try to come up with some solutions. But right now, as of today, I don't want this to be forgotten about. It's almost fall. Some of these people migrate back to their own communities in the next month or so, and come May, we'll be back in the same situation. So it's not something that we can take off the table. It's something that needs to be kept on the table. It needs to be dealt with. This is probably 5 years now we've been bringing it to the council table, and I understand that, you know, there's no easy answer to this. I understand that, but we need to come up with something and not be in the same boat again this spring, when the weather starts to get nice out again and people start to gather back again. The independent review on the hiring policies, I wanted to get an update on that. We saw today that that's still not awarded, or nobody has been contracted to do that independent review, as far as I know. I'll get an update now shortly when I finish here. And I was going to talk about the ATV that was approved through the province. I have spoken to, and I brought this up at the Development Planning Enforcement meeting. And so I'm working with the outreach coordinator position in the coalition to try to put something together that these two positions can work together. The funding is there for the ATV, so through special grant assistance grant, and so we brought it up at the development meeting. So I wanted to put it on record here today that I'm continuing to work with the other partners and try to move this forward for something that we can put in place in the future. And I think that's it. So if we can get an update on the independent review, I think the other things I talked about, we saw some responses today on that. But for me, I'd like to get an update on the independent review because I've been asked several times.
Town manager, anything you can add there?
Before we go on, I'd like to address the one about that property, and the person there is a ward of the government. And I've had ministers, not just Perry Trimper, ministers who went down and looked at the house. And I do believe we have a letter on file where we wrote the provincial government with our frustration and anger, and making it very clear that we want the letter on file that the town would not be held responsible where the gentleman is a ward of the government, and that government needs to act and act immediately. And Robert, I don't know if I know that it's been talked about with Perry over and over. I chatted with Lisa about this here. It falls on her department, and I told them to act on it. That they've got to act on it. That the person is a ward of the government, and that the house could crumble anytime. And when all is said and done, he is a ward of the government, but it will be the town council of Happy Valley-Goose Bay that'll end up with all the flack. And when push comes to shove, it's not a responsibility of the town council. Granted, it's a major concern, and we brought this to government on far too many occasions, and still nothing has been done.
Any other discussions on the report from Development and Planning?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I've got a few messages, and I did pass them along on the importance of our staff using PPE equipment, and I'm hoping that's been rectified, because we've been getting some reports of some of the staff not following those protocols, so I'm assuming that's being dealt with. We don't have an update on the MOU with Healthy Waters Labrador yet, I'm assuming. We're still waiting on that. As well, with the body camera situation, and that's still not being put in place, and I understand you're saying something that along the lines of legal is still looking at something there, and I don't know what else legal has to do, but I do see on the check run there that there's a $21,000 check going to the lawyers, so there must be something happening outside of that's causing the town to pay that much money to our lawyers, and we're still waiting for an update on this, which I feel should have been done quite a while ago. And as well, I'd like to see a quicker update on the ATV as well, because it's getting into the fall now, and we still haven't got any confirmation on when that's going to happen.
Thank you. While we're on the Development and Planning Enforcement Committee report, I'd like to put out there, because this committee just joined with enforcement because of our Councillor Tremlett, who, due to medical reasons, who's on a leave of absence until the end of September. So I'm just putting it out here now in this committee, because this was a committee that joined together after Councillor Tremlett became ill, and so he's on a leave of absence until the end of September, at which time I assume we're going to be holding a by-election if that seat becomes vacant. We haven't discussed it as a council, but we need to discuss it here, because I'm throwing it out in this committee. Now, it might not be the right place, but it is enforcement, and it is a discussion we need to have as a council, as a whole, that that position is probably going to become vacant after September 30th, at which time we would need to have a by-election.
I don't know if the town manager can add to that. There are probably certain provisions under the Municipalities Act that we consider, I would imagine.
I can add that I was speaking to Municipal Services, and once the leave of absence is completed at the end of September, we're entitled to call a by-election obviously with a letter of resignation, at which point, to my understanding, that's probably where this is going to be going, to my understanding. Now, I can't speak for Mr. Tremlett, but I wanted to put it out there today to be on record that we'd still have a year left in our term, so we'd need to have a discussion as a council as a whole about having a by-election at some point. So, the sooner the better.
Town manager, you had it.
Deputy Mayor, I'm going to respond here. We have until the end of September with regard to Councillor Tremlett. and we will have a discussion with council, with municipal affairs, to find out exactly what can be done. And when the time comes, it will be a discussion at that time. And I think I find it kind of difficult that here we are with a full month, and with hope for Councillor Trumlett that that his name is brought up at a public meeting. And I think that the council, as mayor, I will be calling a meeting with council to sit down and discuss Councillor Trumlett at probably an in-camera session or a private session, and not at a public meeting.
Well, Mayor, what I'll say to that is I've asked for an in-camera meeting for months. We no longer have committee to hold meetings, so here we are. Whatever we need to discuss now has to come out in these public meetings. It's unfortunate, and my heart goes out to Joe Tremlett, and I'd like to see him come back on council. But if that's not an option, then we need to talk about other options. So, yes, we can talk about the in-camera discussion with that in the future, hopefully. Any more discussion on the Development and Planning Committee report? If not, I ask all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, it passed unanimously. Do you have any recommendations, Mr. Pomeroy?
Yes, thank you. We received a Crown Lands referral application from Mr. William Duffett for a Crown Land grant at Burnt Point for recreational cottage use. The referral is in the council package for your reference. DPE committee recommends council have no objection for the Crown Lands application 725, subject to the condition that it be in compliance with all the town's development regulations.
Any discussion? Pretty straightforward. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Next recommendation?
We received a Crown Lands referral regarding an application from Goose Real Estate Limited for a Crown Land grant for a parcel of land 60 by 60 meters directly behind the company's property at 5 and 7 Aspen Road. Referrals in the council package. DPE committee recommends the council have no objection for the Crown Lands application 1569795, subject to the following condition that it be in compliance with all the town's development regulations.
Seconder, Councilor Dyson, Edmonds, is there any discussion on 5 and 7? The only thing I'd say on this one is during the committee meeting, we talked about conditions about not having an industrial area up there. Is that the same property that we had that discussion, we asked to put a condition in?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the condition, being compliant with the town's development regulations are quite clear as to what the uses are in that zone. Anything beyond the permitted use, some may be discretionary. If it's discretionary use of council, then that's something that would have to come back to council to decide. But at this point, this is the Crown Land application itself.
Okay, so, yeah, okay. Any other discussion on this recommendation?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that on a discussion level, part of what we want to avoid is the lot turning into some of the problems that we have up in that area already, that we don't seem to be getting very far with any solution. So I think it's important that is communicated to Goose Real Estate, that we don't want to see what's happening up in some of those other areas close by happening on that piece of land as well, and I think it's important to point that out.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passed unanimously.
Yeah, as noted earlier, we received a Crown Land referral regarding an application from the town of Happy Valley-Goose Bay to acquire the necessary land to construct Kellen Drive extension. Committee recommends council have no objection to the Crown Lands application numbered 156852, subject to the condition that it be in compliance with all the town's development regulations.
I'll
I
second
move.
that.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Cran. Any discussion? I'll say to this recommendation, I do not support this recommendation. If it was going back further, as you know, the community requested, I'd gladly sit here and support this recommendation. But I do not support Crown Lands Road to tear up our trails in that area. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I agree there. I have a problem with that as well, and for the exact same reasons. We don't have any shortage of land. I think it should be moved back farther, so I won't be supporting this recommendation.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And those against? Aye. So 4 in favor and 2 against. I'll say that Pomeroy, Anderson, Bakey, and Cran for the motion, and Compton Hobbs and Dyson Edmonds against the motion. Next recommendation?
Yes, we received a Crown Lands referral regarding an application from Mr. William Cable for a license to occupy a parcel of Crown Land at Burnt Point for recreational cottage use. Sorry, I'm not sure if we picked it up. Start again. Sorry about that. We received a Crown Lands referral regarding an application from Mr. William Cable for a license to occupy a parcel of Crown Land at Burnt Point for recreational cottage use. Committee recommends council have no objection for the Crown Lands application numbered 15685, subject to the following condition, that it be in compliance with the town's development regulations.
Discussion on this recommendation?
Did anybody move?
Lori second, Councilor Dyson Edmonds second the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, I call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilor Cran?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
All in favor, unanimous. Okay, that's it for your work.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Oh, I got to get used to this. Okay. Next item on the agenda, Economic Development and Public Engagement Committee. Councilor Lori Dyson.
Thank you, Mr. Pomeroy. Following suit with most of the other committees, there was no actual DPE meeting for the month of August. The last meeting was in July. However, we have a couple things that I would like to point out. Our PR person, Mr. Williams, is still working on looking at possibly another provider for, or getting some information to the council on another provider for our website. We have been constantly having setbacks with our present system, and I look forward to seeing that in the next little while. He did say that he would anticipate something later this fall to have to council. He has been doing quite a huge amount of PSAs within the community, and of course amid the COVID pandemic, that's definitely protocol, of course. We have some new employees. Miss Brianna, and I'm not sure if I should call you Jahar or, okay. We welcome her to the position of Director of Community Development and Research. She has hit the ground running, getting familiar with the files, no doubt, and we will have an in-depth discussion with her for the next council meeting. So welcome to the town. Looking forward to what you're going to bring to the table, and I hear a lot of good things. We do have one mutual friend in Christina Telez, so she speaks highly of you. We also have, of course, Mr. Paul Zaho. I think I pronounced his last name. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm just going to call him Paul. And he has also hit the ground running and has been fitting in quite well. So we welcome these two individuals to the town office and look forward to what they bring. We have our DPE meeting for September for what date, Kat?
Not DPE,
EDP. Okay, for September the 9th. So we'll have a more in-depth discussion there as well. But while I'm here, the Happy Valley-Goose Bay recyclers out at the old Canadian Side Arena have lost their free power from one of the local companies was generously donating the use of a generator. They don't have that anymore, only because all of that company's generators have been rented or purchased or whatever, or are busy doing whatever. So if anybody in the public or any other company is interested in coming on and providing this same type of an in-kind service for the Happy Valley-Goose Bay recyclers, or if you have any names of any companies that you could pass on to them, we would certainly appreciate it, and you can contact the town and we can pass that information on. Other than that, I would ask that my report be accepted as read, and we'll look forward to a more detailed one for next month.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Any discussion? No discussion, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm in favor as well. Motion carried, unanimous. Okay, now we move on to Finance and Policy Committee. Councillor Bakey.
Finance Administration Policy Committee did not meet during the month of August due to councilors and staff being away on holidays, and the committee agreed in July that we would meet on September 14, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. Please accept this short report for record-keeping dated August 24th, 2020.
Okay, moved, second by Councillor Cran. Any discussion? There being no discussion, call for a vote. Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, unanimous. The next item, I guess, is the approval of checks. Councillor Bakey, have you had an opportunity to review the list of checks?
I have the total amount that I'd like to bring forth to the council.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I would like to submit for approval of checks in the amount of $1,506,526.06.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Cran. Any discussion on the checks? No discussion, call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, the motion's carried unanimous. The next item, Councillors' Forum. I guess we can start, you want to start Councillor Compton Hobbs first, or? Councillor Compton Hobbs?
I'll just be brief, but I wanted to add on to, soon I got called out this meeting for something that I mentioned, but Christine Tremlett started off with responses and lack of, and I'll finish off with responses and lack of. I've sent out several emails in the past few weeks that I'm not receiving responses, which bothers me. We no longer have a committee of the whole, and it's difficult to get meeting. I understand, I fully understand, because I was just on holidays myself, that people take annual leave, people are on vacation. But in the future, this got to change. Ms. Tremlett summed it up by saying, you know, we, the council are accountable to the community, and we are. So it has to change going forward. When we send out emails, we should get responses. When we ask for meetings, we should get responses. And I really think that we need to have a sit-down meeting and bring some of our concerns forward. I also like to send out a 50th happy anniversary to Doris and Francis Clerk, who celebrated their anniversary this past weekend. I'm sure the mayor knows them well. Not sure if they got a certificate from the town, but I'm sure it's something that we can put together if somebody wanted to bring that up and present to them, or we normally do. So, and I'll just leave it there for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Dyson-Evans?
Yeah, not a whole lot to report on this end as well. But I do think this is Tara's last council meeting, as she's sitting there with her pretty face mask on. It's been great having you, Tara. We hope we'll get a youth as concerned and as dedicated to the community as you are to replace us, but we wish you all the best, for sure. I'd just like to point out a couple of little things. I've noticed a decrease in the number of roaming dogs in town. I've actually had several people reach out to me with those exact comments that we are seeing a reduce in the number of roaming dogs. So hats off to enforcement for that. I'd like to give a little shout out to who we call Big Graham, who will be celebrating her birthday in a couple of weeks' time. So we'd like to have something. She will be 103 years old in about 2 weeks. She actually came and visited my driveway last night. So the first flower I picked from my flower garden went to her at 103 years old. So it was really nice to see her, not being able to get out of long-term care for quite a while with this pandemic has been huge, but to see her pull in the driveway with her granddaughter was quite a treat last night. And I'd also like to give a little shout out to Kirk Lethbridge and Mary Ellen, who have resumed some of their music, and it's been playing over there as well. So they put a lot of hours into entertaining our residents over there, and I think I know that they know it's appreciated, but I just wanted to give them a shout out here at the council meeting, because they go above and beyond in volunteering and doing these shows for them. So thanks to them. But that's about all I got.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to our youth councillor, Tara Ryan.
Yeah, so this is my last meeting. In just a couple weeks, I'll be a full-time university student, which is totally crazy. It's kind of disappointing that, not all municipalities in the province have this position in place. I'm really thankful that we do here. And, maybe, I'm going to leave soon, hopefully, if all this stuff clears up. And, maybe I'll come back here, and I know that other people my age are probably planning on it too. So, it's important that people like me are heard, people my age. But, yeah, I'm really lucky. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you very much. And just want to add, I think I'm not sure if we're the only community in the province. We're certainly one of the few that have a youth councillor. And this goes back to the 11th council and something that we strive to push forward. And very proud to have you here. And thank you very much for your service over the last year or so. And we wish you all the best in the future. And good luck. So I'll move on to Councillor Cran. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm going to try to be a bit quick because my phone is almost dead there now. So, So guys, as we all know, small business has been known to be the backbone of our economy. So I'd like to congratulate Dairy Queen on the opening of their new franchise here in Goose Bay. Also like to congratulate Tim Hortons on their second location opening. The Blazing Igloo, I understand, I haven't had the opportunity to try their peaches, but I understand it's pretty good. And also the reopening of Pizza Delight. I'd also like to say congratulations to our new Premier, Andrew Fury, and also congratulations to Aaron O'Toole, who is now, I think, the official opposition leader in Ottawa. So, as most of you know, I'm out in Stephenville on vacation. Young fella are getting married on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to that. Get to spend some time with the grandkids. And the Labrador contingent is supposed to start arriving here tomorrow, so looking forward to that. And on that note, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bakey?
Yes, I want to thank the delegates, Ms. Hepler, Elson, and Ms. Tremblay for meeting with the town tonight. I welcome DJ Elliott, Municipal Technologist, and Paul Sowell, GIS Technician, and also the Director of Community Development Research, Brianna Girard. Good luck with Tara Ryan, our Youth Counselor. I wish her all the best in her university studies this fall. And I want to extend my congratulations to Premier Fury as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Councillor. Mayor Anderson, any comments?
Just brief. I did have a chance to meet Brianna, and I look forward to meeting Paul when I go back. And thank everyone for the summer. I know for me that June, July, and August is pretty hectic. That is pretty well 24/7. Things are starting to slow down a bit now, and Councillor Copenhagen, we will have meetings, and we'll have them more regularly. I apologize for my workload. The companies that I got, the workload is 80% of the work is done during June, July, and August. So look forward to getting a break from that. And wish everyone a happy back to school, and looking forward to getting back to regular stuff for council. Other than that, I'm in St. John's, flying back either late Saturday night or Sunday, and looking forward to the rest of my little stay vacation.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just end by, there's not a lot I want to say. I think over the last, well, since March, I think this has been a crazy time for all of us, no matter who you are, for adults, young people. And as a council, I think we've gone through our share as well. And it hasn't been easy for, I don't think, anybody. And some of the issues have been difficult to deal with. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, we need to do what's best for our community overall, and do the best we can, and that's all people ask of us. I don't know what the future has in store, but I think we got a busy fall ahead of us. We have a number of things on the go. We have budgeting process starting again, so it's going to be a very interesting fall. And I just ask that everybody please enjoy the rest of your summer, what's left of it, and we'll see you next month. And with that, I'll call for adjournment. Motion to adjourn, Councillor Compton Hobbs, second by Councillor Laurie Dyson. Meeting adjourned.